There's a lot of cringe on the internet these days. Between cringe subreddits, compilation videos, and YouTubers who aren't funny but think they are, the 21st century is full of people making fools of themselves in public. But atop the mountain of spine-quivering content sits one king whose journey towards the pantheon of cringe is an amazing phenomenon. Over the past decade, Elon Musk's wealth has exploded, but with this massive increase in wealth has come a significant increase in his cringiness. While there are certainly many who love him, it can't be denied that Musk has descended down the rabbit hole of cringe like no others before him. Elon Musk has devolved from someone who seems like an innovative disruptor to a petulant man-child that embodies cringiness more than anyone else. Let's go back a ways, shall we? While Elon Musk has been stealing credit for other people's ideas, been in business for a long time, I think a lot of people, myself included, were introduced to him around the time the first Tesla Model S's were revealed. During these reveals, Musk put himself front and center. He came off as quirky but confident, and was able to make solid points about the state of the auto industry. Like Steve Jobs revealing the iPhone, Musk was able to speak succinctly about the failings of the traditional auto industry and how a bright future was only being held back by an industry that spurned innovation. Honestly, he wasn't wrong about this either. It doesn't take a genius to realize that the oil industry is heavily embedded in the auto industry. Cars run on gas. If you sell gas, you want people to buy more cars that run on more gas. Cars that don't run on gas mean less money for you. The tech for electric has been there for many years, and in watching Musk show just how simple making quality electric vehicles was, many people were stoked. It seemed like this guy was focused on building a better future, the sort of future we've seen in TV shows and movies for decades, and it's no surprise that Tesla grew massively, in part due to Musk's bravado. Around this same time, he was challenging traditional views on space travel in a similar fashion. By amplifying the work of SpaceX with bombastic speeches and an infectious confidence, the public was very quickly taken with the quirky South African. No one could deny that Musk was a little out there, but he was landing rocket boosters upright like something out of a sci-fi movie. He was proposing ways in which we could get to Mars, and he was shooting his car into space. He was a weird guy, but maybe this was just the type of person we needed to thrust us into a new age of technology. Maybe it would take a real outsider, someone who spurned tradition and encouraged free thought, to really push us forward. Maybe Elon Musk was that guy. Then he started to open his mouth, and we started to get a look at who he really was when he wasn't on stage in a highly prepared format. Elon Musk began to display a massive ignorance and insert himself into a vast variety of projects and issues that he had no knowledge of. Suddenly, he felt that he, more than anyone else in the world, had the ability to solve all the world's problems, whatever they were, and if anyone told him otherwise, he would attack them with the full force of an army of Elon stans who worshipped the ground on which he stepped and believed his farts smelled like roses. So what happened? Well, I like to call this the Napoleon effect. I've read a few books about Napoleon, and while I think he was a cunning general, a hard worker, and an out-of-the-box thinker, he made the mistake of thinking himself infallible. After over a decade and a half of successes, he invaded Russia in 1812 thinking nothing could stop him, only to realize that he had severe limitations and was not an expert at everything. Basically, he was surrounded by propaganda that proclaimed him to be a gift from God, and instead of recognizing his own shortcomings, he embraced this view and thought himself invincible. Then he got his ass handed to him at Waterloo. Weak and stupid people that have stumbled into success often follow this path, and just like any shitty dictator, Elon Musk began to drink his own Kool-Aid while thinking that he was God's gift to the world. The first massive indication of this was during the Tam Luang cave rescue in 2018. Basically, in June of 2018, a bunch of students were stuck in a cave in Thailand, and the story exploded across the world. It was a horrific situation with life and death stakes, but Thailand committed an insane amount of resources towards rescuing the trapped boys. Experts both in Thailand and all around the world were brought in to solve this horrible crisis, and everyone watched with bated breath as days passed and hope of rescue dwindled. Then, right in the middle of these efforts, Elon Musk, a man with no knowledge of the cave system or submersibles, proposes building a small submarine to put the children in one by one to transport them out of the cave. Immediately, the people who were part of the rescue effort and knew the cave well told Musk the the idea wouldn't work due to how the tunnel tightened and curved. So what would you do in this situation? If you were a normal human being, you'd probably say, oh, okay, I was just trying to help you guys, but you're the experts. If there's any way I can use my wealth or influence to help, just let me know. But that's not what Musk did. Instead, he called the Navy SEAL diver who was risking his life to rescue the boys a pedophile. Now that was cringy, but maybe he was just having an off day. I mean, the guy had been hitting nothing but net for most of his life, so I guess it's fine to have one outburst. But it didn't just stop there. In 2018, he started to go down this rabbit hole where he kept saying the stupidest shit ever while trying to elevate himself as this enlightened genius who could solve any problem. At the same time, he engaged in groan-inducing childish antics that only middle schoolers who were scared to talk to girls would find funny. Hey, get that picture of me in middle school out of here. In October of the same year, Elon Musk tweeted that he wanted to take Tesla private for $420 a share. Get it? Like the weed number? The SEC was pissed because you can't just announce this without running it by them, and such a statement constitutes gross market manipulation. This is a big no-no, and because of his idiocy, he had to pay a fine and get stripped of some power at Tesla. He's constantly tweeting about stocks these days, and it's abundantly clear he's trying to manipulate the market for his own personal gain. Elon then made an idea for a tunnel and made The Boring Company. Look, there's a lot of stupid jokes in this, so just hang on. He wanted to drill big tunnels to have passengers ride Teslas through it. People immediately said the idea was basically a shitty version of a metro that was insanely dangerous. Elon persisted, and he actually won contracts to build the tunnels while legitimate infrastructure projects were sidelined. Then he only made a single Tesla tunnel in Vegas while never completing any of the other proposed tunnels. Turns out the critics were right about these being stupid, and now you can sit in bumper-to-bumper traffic in a one-lane rainbow hole. Oh, and look at that! The walls are so close you can't open your doors, and there's no emergency exits. Luckily, Teslas aren't known for catching on fire.
A Tesla Model S Plaid burst into flames earlier this week.
It took over 6,000 gallons of water to extinguish the flames emitted from this Tesla Model S.
In 2019, he unveiled the Cybertruck, which looks like a Nintendo 64 car model. He said the windows are indestructible, and then they broke live on stage.
Oh my fucking god. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
Don't worry, it'll be fixed and out next year. What's that? It's still not out and there's pictures of it breaking down as recently as this year? Are you telling me Daddy Elon lied? Then, like a Tesla's autopilot seeing a group of school children crossing a road, he sped up like crazy. In March of 2020, he declares that COVID will be over by April. It wasn't. Instead of realizing he knows nothing about diseases, he continued to spout conspiracy theories that literally got stupid people who listened to him killed. In May of that same year, he wanted to launch a rocket, and the FAA said it was dangerous because it could throw debris on random people. He threw a temper tantrum and went back to the drawing board. 3 years later, he launches the rocket, and guess what? It threw debris on random people. The FAA decided to ground it, and then he throws another temper tantrum on Twitter. In July of 2020, he announced that he supports Kanye to be president.
I see good things about Hitler also. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
In October of that same year, he makes sexist jokes and becomes fascinated with the word tits. Then he gets hit with sexual abuse charges, and he just keeps making jokes about tits. Because he's a 5-year-old in a 50-year-old's bloated, disgusting body. Jesus, you're a genius, but you don't know the value of hitting the gym once in a while? My man looks all lumpy. He's like a sack of potatoes or something. While I'm skipping over a lot of little cringe, such as his anti-union and employee rights stances, as well as his continued attacks against any detractors, I want to get to the granddaddy of all cringe. In October of 2022, Elon Musk bought Twitter. Let me try to break down some of the highlights that have occurred in less than a year of this purchase. Elon mass fires employees and publicly states the company was bloated and woke. Twitter then suffers frequent outages and issues because, surprise, the people that maintained it actually were necessary. Elon then says he wants to hire some of them back because he has no clue what he's doing. While this is happening, Elon parrots fascist propaganda and advertisers flee en masse. Prior to his purchase, advertisers accounted for 90% of the company revenue. So instead of walking back his remarks to not bankrupt Twitter, he doubles down.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Because he has a solution. Fuck the advertisers, who needs them? We have all these users, and I bet they're stupid enough, I mean cool enough, to spend $8 a month for a blue check mark next to their names. Surprise, it doesn't work. Not only does this only bring him the smallest fraction of revenue back, blue checks are bought by parody accounts and wreak havoc on the economy in hilarious ways. Like when a fake Eli Lilly account got a blue check and said that insulin would now be free, and it caused Eli Lilly's stock to plummet. Then, later, Elon introduces the gold check. Oh, you still have the blue check? That's like having the old iPhone. Pay me more money for the gold check that does the exact same thing. Elon changes the Twitter sign to tit, because boobs, right? He shows up at a Dave Chappelle stand-up show and immediately gets booed off stage.
Smithers, are they booing me?
No, they're saying boo earns, boo earns.
At some point in the middle of this, he called chess, the most ancient and strategic game that can take a lifetime to master, too simple for him, because he's super smart, you guys, like totally, right? He begins to retweet conspiracy theories without any basis in reality, while screaming about trans people, non-whites, and basically anyone who doesn't look like him. Wait a minute, he holds sexist and racist sentiments? This guy really is South African. Then, in March of this year, just half a year after his purchase of Twitter, it's announced that the company is worth only $20 billion. That's less than half its worth at the time of his purchase. Despite countless setbacks and losses, scores of signs that he should shut the fuck up and just lay low, he continues to double down. I'm writing this on May 17th, 2023, and just in the last week, he has said that George Soros wants to destroy humanity, refused to block Russian news sources that have been proven to not only be false, but to be actively trying to dismantle the US. During an election in Turkey to oust an authoritarian asshole, said authoritarian asshole asked him to censor tweets about his opponent. Elon complied, while simultaneously saying he is a proponent of free speech. Said that the white supremacist with a swastika and SS tattoo who shot up a mall in Texas was in fact not a white supremacist.
I think incorrectly ascribed to be a white supremacist action. But I'm saying that I thought the ascribing it to white supremacy was bullshit.
Replied to a tweet that compares him to Batman, saying civilization is fragile and implying that he can protect it. Appointed a new CEO of Twitter who is a right-wing lunatic. And that's just in the last week. I've glossed over literally hundreds of little things this man-child has done that are cringy, because he's pumping out cringe faster than anyone can keep up. But Pancake Sean, you might be thinking, how does this make him the king of cringe? Surely there are those with more cringe out there. What about this lady? Or this thing.
If you guys want to help me pay for my Tesla, please go ahead and dig deep. I sure would like a free fucking Tesla. Reach down in your pockets and give me $100,000 tonight.
What about YouTubers who think they're funny but aren't? Why the fuck's the camera on me? Well, dear viewers, the reason Musk is the king of cringe is due to his potential. If some white trash gets into a fight on YouTube, or if a random white guy accidentally says the N-word.
I'm Fernando, I work at Peak Energy. We're a few doors down, we're in 1845. Okay. So we do solar around here, we're just coming around talking to sorry, dude. Neighbors. I apologize, man.
It's cringy. In fact, it's very cringy. But all these people can't really do much for the world. They're ordinary people like you or me who will probably live and die without having the ability to make significant positive changes. That's an unfortunate truth, but ultimately only a select few people can rise to positions of power where they can change the world for the better. And like it or not, Elon Musk has the wealth and platform to fundamentally alter this world for the better. He could easily publicize candidates running for public office who embody the empathy and understanding our government needs. He could start projects dedicated to eradicating disease, work on reversing climate change, or help the poor and needy. But he doesn't do any of that. Sure, he has the Musk Foundation, but he has only donated about 3% of his wealth to it, and his contributions towards it are minuscule when compared to the charitable contributions made by billionaires with less money than him. Plus, look at this. Here's the website for the Gates Foundation. Here's the website for the Bezos Foundation. And here's the website for Musk's Foundation. This looks like something you would make in Word in 2 minutes. It's clear that charity isn't exactly top of mind for Musk. Instead, he spends his time tweeting conspiracy theories, role-playing as a baby on Twitter, and acting like some basement-dwelling loser. You know, Elon Musk constantly talks about how it's his life's mission to get humanity to Mars, and honestly, I think that's a noble goal. Getting humans off-world is one of the most important elements of our continued survival, and would be the crowning achievement of our race. But I think the way in which we accomplish this goal is just as important as the goal itself. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "We have guided missiles and misguided men." And I can't think of no better allegory for Elon Musk. Elon's goal is righteous, but the way in which he is achieving it is terrible. Elon is a horrible man-child that pals around with autocrats and fascists and roleplays as a baby on Twitter that talks about how great he is. I think we all have to ask ourselves, is this the guy we want the history books to remember for our greatest accomplishment? Or would it be better if a group of nations representing the best of humanity put aside their differences and came together to take the next step towards our shared destiny as one? The goal of getting to Mars is great, but the way in which we get there is just as important. And Elon Musk's childish and authoritarian tendencies really make me hope he's not the one to get us there. The scant few virtuous whims of the richest man in the world shouldn't dictate our future, nor are they an excuse for him to behave like an absolute asshole. His fans always point to his Mars ambitions as the reason for his greatness, but I have to ask, is that enough to overshadow a lifetime of malcontent for his fellow man? I don't know what the future really holds for Musk. But I do know one thing. Because of his insane potential to do good and his lack of desire to use his wealth as a means to lift up those that are suffering, he will forever hold the crown of the king of cringe. It's one thing to be an unknown idiot without the power to enact meaningful change. But if you have the potential to change the world for the better, and instead you spend your time shitposting on Twitter and palling around with human scum, well, then you're really just a class of cringe that will never be eclipsed, and perhaps Twitter will turn out to be Elon's Waterloo.